So I'm talking to my best pal, Susan Mason. We work with her on an awful lot of programs at the AMA. She's a developer. She's an executive coach. She's a longtime faculty member at Hamilton University, amongst other cool places. And I totally haven't done justice to your biography, and I do apologize. But this was kind of spur of the moment, and
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if I might be able to get your thoughts on just a couple quick questions that I have. Now, you're a longtime educator. You've always been sort of challenged to make learning and knowledge transfer a very engaging experience. Um, what are some of the real key challenges that people are facing now? With this whole shelter at home thing and staying away from crowds and out of classrooms, and what are some of the unique challenges people are facing right now, and how can they sort of you know bypass, circumvent, get around these barriers?
Yeah, well, a lot of the things that you were just terms that you were just using are ones that come to mind for me around the idea of shifting a paradigm. So we are doing a radical shift of paradigm. How does learning occur? How do schools work? How do work environments actually operate? And we've got what is the thing that we're trying to do, and then there are the mechanisms that we've put around it to make it work. They were based on a certain set of assumptions and premises, and we usually gravitate towards the ones that seem most predictable, most useful, most accessible. When those are taken away, which they have been, then we have to do this sort of radical paradigm shift of, is that the only way it can happen? And if it's not the only way it can happen, then what are the other ways? And how can we go about now shifting into that way of thinking? So I combine this in my head with just really thinking about the socio-emotional model of change, which says that we start out grieving, we start out being angry, we have strong emotions about, hey, this isn't the way it's supposed to be. And then slowly we look at, well, maybe I could do it this way, or maybe I could do it that way, or the team is, and we eventually find the next paradigm. But I think right now the most important thing is to just know that we're in this massive shift and not to beat ourselves up. Yeah.
What would be like one or two things you might share with someone in order to help them to be ready for tomorrow, to sort of get themselves on an on ramp for the the after we pass through this mess?
Right. So after we have been working in this new way, we may be asked to go back to the previous way.
I'm right, but I think we're of a common mind where I don't think we should really totally let this skill set go. Right? I mean,
Right. So I think that the challenge is going to be, and it takes me back to my opening thought around paradigms, it's really going to challenge leaders, strategists, organizational behavior folks, everybody within the organization to think now, okay, how do we maintain satisfaction, productivity, effectiveness using everything? Not just this, again, sort of one set of skills that we used until it was an emergency and we had to do something else. Well, we've discovered that something else works too. So how do you blend that now in some new ways that are really going to satisfy the employee because now they've tasted it and they can see the problems, but they can also see the opportunities. So to get on the ground, the most important thing is to be willing to look at all the new ways of accomplishing tasks, accomplishing work. And that may mean really blending, as we've talked about it in learning, blended learning, blending how tasks are achieved. That might mean a lot of different strategies, a lot more online meetings, even if you are in the same building. Or online meetings because people find they're more efficient being into that environment.
I feel like I feel like we're riding on training wheels now. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
we got to
yeah.
we got to get the training wheels off the bicycle here. You know?
Yeah, we're in training wheels, and we've got a lot of still infrastructure challenges that people can imagine how it can all work, but we're not infrastructure ready to make it all work. So that's another real challenging space. How do we make ourselves ready to be adaptive when how we're doing something doesn't work, right? So let's say that you and I are trying to record a session like this, and our first software choice or our first approach just isn't something that's working. And so we have to get inventive and think about other ways of doing it, and we do. That's
And
something
we
that
and
we
we and we
again
and we did.
we did, and we have to give ourselves permission and time to actually do that kind of stuff. And I think what's critical for leaders, managers to recognize is this is a great leveling because there's a lot of people out there now who are going to know a lot about how to make this work, and it's not going to be a top down, I'll tell you how to do this. It's going to be everybody contributing, well, here's what works for me, or here's where I found this, or this is how I got it to work, or right. So I think there's going to be a lot more equity in contribution and collaboration.
Well, it's that term I just introduced to you right before I turned on the camera, right? Kludge. This is so kludge. And kludge is sort of it's not pretty, it's not elegant, it might be improvised, but it works.
But it works. And, as much as I don't like to say this will not be the last time that we make these kind of major shifts. And some of them may be because of illness. Some of them may be because of resources. Some of them may be because of environmental issues. Who knows? But I think the key thing is for everybody to realize that the tools are only as good as your willingness to work with them, to try them, to really collaborate with others, to get it to work, and in a way that's going to be mutually effective. It's still a team, right?
Okay. You know what? Let's just wrap it up there, and I look forward to other calls of a similar nature. Thanks for letting me pick your brain a little bit.
Hey, it was fun. You take care, Dave.
Take care.